Before we dive into the forgotten faces of Pawn Stars, let me ask you something. Do you remember the last time you saw Mark Hall Paton on your screen? What about Olivia Black or Rick Dale? These weren't just background characters. They were integral parts of one of television's most successful reality shows. But one by one, they vanished. Some walked away. Some were forced out. And some never got the chance to say goodbye. Today, we're pulling back the curtain on the Pawn Stars cast members who retired, disappeared, or were written out of the story. This isn't speculation. These are the facts. Richard Harrison. Let's start with the man who started it all. Richard Benjamin Harrison, known to millions simply as the Old Man. Born on March 4, 1941, Richard wasn't just a character on a reality show. He was the foundation upon which the entire Harrison empire was built. Richard Harrison co-founded the Gold and Silver Pawn Shop in 1989 with his son, Rick Harrison. Before that, Richard had lived a life that could fill its own documentary. He served in the United States Navy for 20 years, a career that instilled in him the discipline, work ethic, and no-nonsense attitude that would define his persona on Pawn Stars. After his military service, Richard moved his family to Las Vegas, where he saw an opportunity in the pawn business. The Gold and Silver Pawn Shop wasn't an overnight success. Richard and Rick worked tirelessly to build a reputation for honesty and expertise in a city known for scams and quick cash schemes. They wanted their shop to be different, a place where people could trust the deals they were getting and the appraisals they received. Richard's stern demeanor, his calm voice, and his unflinching honesty became the shop's trademark. He didn't sugarcoat anything. If an item was worthless, he said so. If someone was trying to pull a fast one, he called them out. And if a deal made sense, he gave his blessing. On Pawn Stars, Richard was the voice of reason. While Rick negotiated and Cory learned the ropes, Richard sat in his corner, observing, listening, and offering his opinion when it mattered most. His advice wasn't just about business, it was about life. He represented the old guard, the generation that valued hard work, integrity, and doing things the right way. But age catches up with everyone. On June 25, 2018, Richard Harrison passed away at the age of 77. The cause of death was complications from Parkinson's disease, a condition he had been battling for years. The news devastated fans around the world. Tributes poured in from celebrities, collectors, and everyday viewers who felt like they had lost a member of their own family. The History Channel aired a special tribute episode, and the Harrison family released a statement thanking fans for their support. Richard's death marked the end of an era. The Gold and Silver Pawn Shop continued operating, and Pawn Stars kept filming new episodes, but something fundamental had changed. The show felt different without him. When fans went back and rewatched old episodes, they realized just how much Richard's presence had grounded the entire series. He wasn't just the old man. He was the heart of the show. His legacy lives on in the business he built, the family he raised, and the millions of viewers who remember him as a television icon. Mark Hall Paton. If you watched Pawn Stars during its peak years, you remember Mark Hall Paton. He was impossible to forget. A thick white beard, distinctive red-framed glasses, and a voice that carried the weight of history itself. Fans affectionately nicknamed him the Beard of Knowledge and the Beard of Wisdom, and for good reason. Mark wasn't just another expert brought in to appraise items. He was the administrator and curator of the Clark County Museum in Las Vegas, a position that gave him access to one of the most comprehensive collections of Nevada and American history in the region. When someone walked into the gold and silver pawn shop with an old document, a Civil War artifact, or a piece of historical memorabilia, Rick Harrison knew exactly who to call. Mark approached every item with reverence. To him, these weren't just objects with price tags, they were tangible connections to the past. A handwritten letter from a Civil War soldier wasn't just paper and ink. It was a window into the thoughts and fears of a young man facing death on a battlefield. A rare book wasn't just a collectible. It was a vessel carrying knowledge across centuries. Mark had the unique ability to transform a routine appraisal into a history lesson, and viewers loved him for it. His appearances on Pawn Stars became appointment television for history buffs. Fans would light up when they saw Rick pull out his phone to call Mark, knowing they were about to learn something fascinating. Mark never talked down to the audience. He explained historical context in a way that was accessible, engaging, and genuinely educational. But on April 24, 2024, the history community and Pawn Stars fans received devastating news. Mark Hall Paton had passed away from a stroke. He was 71 years old. The outpouring of grief was immediate and widespread. Colleagues from museums across the country shared stories of Mark's dedication to preserving history. Fans flooded social media with memories of their favorite Mark moments from the show. So the Clark County Museum released a statement honoring his decades of service and his commitment to making history accessible to everyone. Mark's death was more than the loss of a television personality. It was the loss of a genuine historian who used his platform to educate millions. After his passing, the Las Vegas museum community paid tribute to his contributions, and his legacy continues through the countless people he inspired to appreciate history. Even now, when fans stumble across an old book in an attic or find a dusty document in a box of family heirlooms, they think of Mark. They remember his careful hands, his patient explanations, and his genuine love for the stories hidden in forgotten objects. If only we could still call him Cory Harrison. Jed, known to fans as Big Hoss or Big H, represents a unique aspect of Pawn Stars. He quite literally grew up on the show. When the series premiered in 2009, Cory was in his mid-20s, learning the family business under the watchful eyes of his father, Rick, and his grandfather, Richard. By the time the show became a phenomenon, audiences had a front-row seat to Cory's evolution from an inexperienced young man into a seasoned pawnbroker. Cory's childhood was spent in the gold and silver pawn shop. He didn't have a choice about entering the family business. It was his reality from day one. He watched his father and grandfather negotiate deals, appraise items, and manage the daily operations of running a pawn shop in Las Vegas. This hands-on education gave Cory a unique perspective that no business school could replicate. On the show, Cory's relationship with his father Rick provided some of the most memorable moments. Their arguments weren't scripted drama. They were the real tensions that arise when family and business collide. Cory wanted to prove himself, to show that he could make smart deals and contribute meaningfully to the shop's success. Rick, as any father would, wanted to protect the business and teach his son the right way to do things. These clashes created genuine conflict that audiences connected with. But beneath the on-screen personality was a real person dealing with real struggles. In 2018, The same year his grandfather Richard passed away, Cory went through a divorce from his second wife, Cory Harrison. The divorce was finalized quietly, away from the cameras, but its impact on Cory was visible to those who knew him well. The energetic and quick-witted young man fans had come to know seemed to carry a heavier burden. His demeanor changed. The constant smile became less frequent. The jokes came less easily. Cory focused on himself during this period. He committed to improving his health, losing a significant amount of weight, and adopting a healthier lifestyle. He continued working at the pawn shop, fulfilling his duties on the show, but those close to him could see the toll that personal pain had taken. The cheerful kid who grew up joking with Chumlee had matured into a more serious, contemplative man. Cory's journey on Pawn Stars is a testament to resilience. He experienced loss, heartbreak, and the pressure of living up to a family legacy, all while millions of people watched. Yet he persevered, continuing to show up, do the work, and carry forward the Harrison name. Rick Harrison. If Pawn Stars has a main character, it's Rick Harrison. From the very first episode, Rick set the tone for the entire series. He was sharp, knowledgeable, quick with a witty comment, and unafraid to challenge anyone who walked through the door. Whether someone brought in a Revolutionary War sword, a letter signed by Abraham Lincoln, or a guitar allegedly owned by Elvis Presley, Rick could turn any transaction into a compelling story. Rick's expertise spans an almost unbelievable range of topics. He can discuss the historical significance of Civil War memorabilia, evaluate the authenticity of rare coins, assess the value of vintage automobiles, and negotiate the price of modern collectibles, all with equal confidence. This encyclopedic knowledge isn't just for show. Rick spent decades studying, reading, and learning about the items that pass through his shop. He understands that knowledge is the most valuable currency in the pawn business. But Rick's appeal goes beyond his expertise. His personality, equal parts skeptical and curious, makes every episode engaging. He questions sellers, challenges experts, and refuses to accept anything at face value. This skepticism protects the business from fraud, while simultaneously educating viewers about the importance of due diligence. Every transaction becomes a lesson in critical thinking. For many fans, Rick became the glue holding Pawn Stars together. He managed the shop's operations, navigated complex family dynamics, dealt with difficult sellers, and kept the business profitable, all while maintaining his composure and sense of humor. But even someone as seemingly unshakable as Rick Harrison has faced profound challenges. The death of his father, Richard Harrison, in June 2018, was the most devastating blow. Rick didn't just lose a parent, he lost his business partner, his mentor, and his closest confidant. Richard had been there from the beginning, helping Rick build the gold and silver pawn shop from nothing into a Las Vegas institution. Their relationship went beyond father and son. They were collaborators who trusted each other implicitly. In the wake of Richard's death, the Harrison family faced additional turmoil. Rick's mother, Joanne Harrison, filed a lawsuit against him over family assets and the handling of Richard's estate. The legal battle brought private family matters into the public eye, shattering the image of the united Harrison clan that Pawn Stars had presented to the world. The lawsuit alleged mismanagement and improper handling of estate assets, claims that Rick denied. These challenges would have broken many people. But Rick demonstrated the same resilience that had built his business. He continued running the pawn shop, kept filming Pawn Stars, and proved why the show had become a global phenomenon. His strength wasn't just in his knowledge of antiques, it was in his ability to adapt, survive, and move forward despite overwhelming personal pain. Rick transformed his grief into motivation. He honored his father's memory by maintaining the business standards Richard had established and by continuing to build the Harrison legacy. He showed viewers that success isn't just about making money. It's about perseverance through hardship. Rick's story reminds us that the value of history isn't only found in old objects. It's also in the lessons we learn from the challenges we face. Today, Rick Harrison remains the face of Pawn Stars, a testament to resilience and the power of legacy. Olivia Black. In Season 5 of Pawn Stars, a fresh face appeared behind the counter of the gold and silver pawn shop, Olivia Black. With her black hair, radiant smile, and confident attitude, Olivia immediately caught the attention of viewers. She brought a new energy to the show, working alongside the Harrison family, helping customers, learning the intricacies of the pawn business, and adding a modern touch to the shop's traditional atmosphere. For Olivia, landing a role on Pawn Stars wasn't just a television opportunity. It was a chance to build a legitimate career in pawnbroking and prove herself in what had traditionally been a male-dominated industry. She approached the job with enthusiasm and determination, quickly learning how to evaluate items, interact with customers, and handle the fast-paced environment of a busy Las Vegas pawn shop. Fans responded positively to Olivia. She was relatable, funny, and hardworking. She represented a new generation, smart, bold, and unafraid to challenge conventions. In many ways, Olivia embodied the evolving face of reality television, diverse, authentic, and unfiltered. But Olivia's time on Pawn Stars was short-lived. Before joining the show, Olivia had worked as an alternative model, a fact that was never hidden or secretive. However, when photos from her modeling career surfaced publicly during her time on Pawn Stars, it created a conflict with the conservative image that the show's producers wanted to maintain. The modeling work clashed with the family-friendly brand that the History Channel had carefully cultivated for Pawn Stars. Olivia's departure from the show was abrupt and, for many fans, shocking. She had been performing well in her role, connecting with audiences, and seemingly on track for a long-term position with the shop. But the decision was made to let her go, and just like that, Olivia Black disappeared from Pawn Stars. The sudden exit sparked controversy among fans. Many felt that Olivia had been unfairly judged for work she had done before joining the show. Others argued that the producers had every right to protect the brand they had built. Regardless of where you stand on the issue, one thing is clear. Olivia handled the situation with grace and dignity. Rather than retreating from public life, Olivia embraced her individuality. She continued her modeling career, launched creative projects, and built a strong following on social media. She refused to be defined by her brief time on Pawn Stars or by the circumstances of his departure. Instead, she forged her own path, proving that authenticity and self-determination matter more than fitting into someone else's mold. Olivia's story became one of resilience and independence. Her time on Pawn Stars may have been brief, but it was impactful. She showed viewers that even in a world full of antiques and established traditions, there's always room for new stories and different voices. Rebecca Romney. Among the many experts who appeared on Pawn Stars, few captured viewers' hearts quite like Rebecca Romney. As the show's rare book expert, Rebecca represented something unique: knowledge, curiosity, and a calm, almost serene intelligence that stood out in the often chaotic environment of the pawn shop. Whenever someone walked into the gold and silver pawn shop with an old Bible, a first edition novel, or a mysterious leather-bound book, Rick Harrison's eyes would light up. He knew it meant Rebecca would soon be walking through the door, ready to unravel the book's secrets. Rebecca approached rare books with genuine reverence. To her, these weren't just old objects with monetary value. They were portals to different worlds, preserved pieces of human thought and creativity waiting to be rediscovered. Now, she had an extraordinary ability to make even the dustiest, most obscure book come alive with historical context and literary significance. Her appearances on Pawn Stars were educational in the truest sense. Rebecca would explain the printing process used in different centuries, discuss the significance of specific editions, evaluate the condition based on precise bibliographic standards, and contextualize the book's place in literary history. She made book collecting accessible to viewers who had never considered it before. Rebecca's calm presence, subtle smile, and evident passion for her work made her segments some of the most memorable on the show. She wasn't just appraising books. She was sharing her love for the written word and the stories contained within those fragile pages. Over time, however, Rebecca's appearances on Pawn Stars became less frequent. She eventually left the show to focus on her own career, managing rare books and pursuing literary projects independently. Rebecca had built a reputation as one of the foremost rare book experts in the country, and her expertise was in demand far beyond the confines of a reality television show. Her departure was amicable and professional. There was no controversy, no drama, just a natural transition as Rebecca pursued new opportunities. She went on to co-found Type Punch Matrix, a rare book firm, and became a sought-after speaker and author on topics related to book collecting and literary history. Though her time on Pawn Stars was relatively brief, Rebecca Romney left a lasting impact. She showed viewers that knowledge has real value, not just financial value, but intellectual and cultural value. She reminded fans that life's most precious treasures aren't always made of gold or encrusted with jewels. Sometimes they're the fragile pages of a book, carrying human stories and ideas across centuries. Rebecca's legacy on Pawn Stars is one of quiet intelligence and genuine passion. She proved that expertise and enthusiasm can be just as entertaining as any scripted drama. Austin Chumlee, Russell Austin Lee. Russell, known to the world as Chumlee, is perhaps the most recognizable personality to emerge from Pawn Stars, aside from the Harrison family themselves. Chumlee was working at the gold and silver pawn shop long before the cameras arrived, having been childhood friends with Cory Harrison. When the show premiered, Chumlee became the comic relief, the lovable, a somewhat clueless employee who made everyone laugh. Chumlee's appeal was his authenticity. He didn't pretend to be an expert on antiques, rare books, or historical artifacts. He asked questions, made silly comments, and often served as the audience surrogate, the person who didn't understand the finer points of 18th century furniture but was curious enough to learn. His honest, unfiltered reactions made him relatable to millions of viewers who were learning alongside him. But Chumlee's life took a dark turn on March 9, 2016, when Las Vegas police executed a search warrant at his home during an investigation into allegations of sexual assault. While the sexual assault investigation did not result in charges, police discovered illegal firearms and controlled substances during the search. Chumlee was arrested and charged with multiple felonies, including weapon and drug possession. The news shocked and heartbroken fans around the world. The lovable goofball from Pawn Stars was facing serious criminal charges. The story dominated entertainment news for weeks, and Chumlee's future, both legally and professionally, hung in the balance. Chumlee eventually reached a plea deal with prosecutors. In exchange for pleading guilty to a felony weapons charge and misdemeanor attempted drug possession, he avoided prison time but was placed on probation for 3 years. He was required to attend counseling and complete community service. What happened next, however, is the real story. Chumlee faced his mistakes head-on. Rather than making excuses or retreating from public life, he committed to completely transforming himself. He focused on his health, began exercising regularly, changed his diet, and adopted a healthier lifestyle. The results were dramatic. Chumlee lost over 100 pounds, approximately 45 kilograms, becoming a symbol of personal transformation and determination. His return to Pawn Stars was welcomed by fans who appreciated his honesty and willingness to change. Chumlee came back as a different person, stronger, more mature, and more humble, but still retaining the humor and heart that had made him beloved in the first place. Outside of the show, Chumlee leveraged his fame to launch business ventures, including Chumlee's Candy on the Boulevard in Las Vegas, a shop where fans could meet him, take photos, buy merchandise, and share a laugh. The shop became a tourist destination in its own right. Chumlee's story is one of redemption and second chances. He made serious mistakes, faced real consequences, and chose to use those experiences as motivation to become a better person. His transformation reminds viewers that our past doesn't have to define our future. We always have the power to change. Brett Mailey. Brett Mailey brought a different perspective to Pawn Stars. As the show's art expert, Brett approached items with an eye not just for value, but for artistic merit, historical context, and the creative intention behind each piece. He worked at a gallery in Las Vegas, surrounded by paintings, sculptures, and diverse artistic expressions. When someone brought artwork into the gold and silver pawn shop, Brett was the person Rick called. But unlike other experts who focused primarily on authentication and market value, Brett tried to help viewers understand the art itself, the techniques used, the historical period it represented, and the emotions it was meant to evoke. Brett believed that art was a conversation between the creator and the observer, and he worked to make that conversation accessible to everyone. He taught viewers that you didn't need an art history degree to appreciate a beautiful painting or understand the significance of a sculpture. His explanations were kind, insightful, and filled with genuine passion for his subject. Over time, Brett's appearances on Pawn Stars became less frequent. The show began relying more on other experts and focused more heavily on different types of items. Brett's quiet departure was never explained in detail, but he continued his work in the Las Vegas art community, managing galleries and helping collectors build their collections. Brett's legacy on Pawn Stars is subtle but important. He reminded fans that not all treasures are measured in monetary value alone. Sometimes the real value of an object is the beauty it brings into the world and the emotions it evokes in those who encounter it. Rick Dale. When the gold and silver pawn shop acquired items that were old, rusty, broken, or forgotten, they called Rick Dale Rick the Restorer. Owner of Rick's Restorations in Las Vegas, Rick Dale ran a workshop that resembled a museum of American history, filled with vintage gas pumps, antique jukeboxes, classic Coca-Cola machines, and countless other pieces of Americana. Rick Dale didn't just fix broken objects, he brought them back to life. His restoration work was meticulous, respectful, and driven by a genuine love for preservation. He understood that a rusted gas pump from the 1950s wasn't just scrap metal. It was a piece of American automotive history, a reminder of a different era when gas stations were neighborhood gathering places and cross-country road trips were adventures into the unknown. Rick's appearances on Pawn Stars were so popular that he was given his own spin-off show, American Restoration, which premiered on the History Channel in 2010. The series followed Rick and his team as they restored everything from vintage bicycles to antique slot machines, showcasing the incredible craftsmanship required to return these items to their former glory. American Restoration ran for 6 seasons, building Rick Dale into a television personality in his own right. However, in 2014, the History Channel abruptly canceled American Restoration and replaced it with a different restoration show. The cancellation shocked fans and reportedly blindsided Rick and his team. After the cancellation, Rick Dale largely disappeared from television. He continued operating Rick's Restorations in Las Vegas, working quietly on restoration projects away from the cameras. His social media presence decreased, and his public appearances became rare. The exact reasons for American Restoration's cancellation and Rick's departure from the public eye have never been fully explained. Some reports suggested creative differences with the network, while others pointed to behind-the-scenes business disagreements. Regardless of the reason, Rick Dale's television career ended almost as suddenly as it had begun. Rick Dale's story reminds us that restoration is about more than objects. It's about dedication, craftsmanship, and preserving history for future generations. While he may no longer appear on our television screens, his work continues, quietly preserving pieces of the past. Steve Grad. Steve Grad brought a highly specialized expertise to Pawn Stars, autograph authentication. In a world where fake signatures flood the collectibles market, Steve's ability to distinguish genuine autographs from forgeries was invaluable. He worked for Professional Sports Authenticator, PSA, and Collectors Universe, companies that authenticate autographs and sports memorabilia. When someone brought a baseball allegedly signed by Babe Ruth, a document supposedly signed by Abraham Lincoln, or a guitar with Elvis Presley's signature into the gold and silver pawn shop, Steve was the person who could verify its authenticity. His examinations were thorough and precise, looking at pen pressure, ink composition, letter formation, and countless other microscopic details that separate real signatures from clever fakes. Steve's appearances on Pawn Stars were educational and often dramatic. Watching him carefully examine a signature with a magnifying glass, comparing it to known exemplars, and ultimately rendering his verdict created genuine tension. A single word from Steve could mean the difference between a worthless piece of paper and a historically significant document worth thousands of dollars. Over time, however, Steve's appearances on the show decreased significantly. Our reports suggested that behind-the-scenes disagreements may have contributed to his reduced presence, though the specific details were never made public. Steve continued his work as an autograph expert, maintaining his reputation as one of the most respected authenticators in the industry. Steve Grad's contribution to Pawn Stars demonstrated that expertise matters. In a market filled with fraud and deception, having someone with the knowledge and experience to verify authenticity protects both buyers and sellers. Steve showed viewers that even a small signature can tell a powerful story, if you know how to read it. Pawn Stars is more than a television show about old objects and financial transactions. At its core, it's a show about people, their dreams, their struggles, the treasures they carry, and the stories they tell. The cast members who have left the show over the years each contributed something unique to its success. Richard Harrison built the foundation with his integrity and wisdom. Mark Hall Paton educated millions with his historical knowledge. Cory Harrison grew up before our eyes, navigating the challenges of family business and personal loss. Rick Harrison became the face of the franchise, demonstrating resilience through unimaginable grief. Olivia Black showed us the importance of authenticity. Rebecca Romney reminded us that knowledge has value beyond money. Chumlee proved that redemption is always possible. Brett Mailey taught us to see beauty in art. Rick Dale demonstrated the power of restoration. And Steve Grad protected the integrity of historical artifacts. These individuals weren't just supporting characters in a reality show. They were real people with real lives, real challenges, and real contributions to the world of antiques, collectibles, and history. The Gold and Silver Pawn Shop continues to operate in Las Vegas, still drawing crowds of tourists eager to experience a piece of television history. Pawn Stars continues to air new episodes, introducing new experts and new stories to audiences around the world. But for those of us who have followed the show from the beginning, we remember the faces that are no longer there. We remember Richard's stern wisdom, Mark's historical lessons, and all the others who helped make Pawn Stars a cultural phenomenon. Their stories of success, loss, redemption, and resilience remind us that the most valuable treasures aren't always the ones you can buy and sell. Sometimes they're the people we meet along the way and the lessons we learn from their journeys. Which Pawn Stars cast member had the biggest impact on you? Their stories continue to inspire, educate, and remind us that history isn't just about objects from the past. It's about the people who preserve it, study it, and share it with the world.